Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Situation Lounge. My name is Yannick Jackson, the host this evening. And I want to say thank you. Welcome, those of you who are joining for the first time. Make sure to hit that red subscribe button and let your friends know that you're tuned into the Situation Lounge here on TFG 365 TV. Tonight, I want to invite the rest of my team. Please welcome my co-host, Anthony Ryan Grant. And now we have our other improv team. We have Ebbs. She is the refined foodie. And also welcome Jamal. Hey everyone, how are you doing today?
Really good. How are you?
I'm well. How's your weekend?
Safe.
Okay. Okay, I'll go with that. Did you get any new supplements or shakes or anything tonight?
I did not.
What? You are our health guru. What did you have as far as a healthy treat? Am I putting you on the spot right now?
No, just
Kinda.
been making sure to drink enough water. That's really it. That's the bare minimum. But I haven't there hasn't been any additions or any routines implemented this past weekend.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, later on this week, keep us updated on some tips, or maybe if you found out about any other new supplements that are out there to help us to stay, healthy and strong. All right, Jamal, what's new? How's your weekend?
Had a pretty good weekend. Got a chance to get out and enjoy the beautiful weather up here.
I know. Isn't it interesting how we take taking a breath of fresh air for granted?
Trust me, it is. Especially when it's nice and cool up here and it's warm down south. So
Oh man. All right. And then next up we have the refined foodie, Ebbs. What's new?
Hey, nothing really, just hanging in there, taking a day at a time. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. And I think I'm going to end up trying out that restaurant you spoke about the other day, that Jamaican restaurant in the Fort Lauderdale area. I
Oh,
might end
really?
up taking my husband there this weekend because that salmon, oh my goodness, it was delish.
I told you.
Yeah, so thank you so much for that. So always keep us up to date of some of the hot spots here in South Florida, even abroad, because we have Anthony in California, Jamal
Right.
is somewhere in the world, and the rest of our guests as well. All right, well, tonight's topic is a heavy one, ladies and gentlemen. It is called Afraid of the Dark. With everything that took place within our country this week, it's we're at a very interesting time right now with what took place as far as the shooting. As many of you already know, the news and everybody has their own point of view to the situation, but we wanted to cover a hot topic that's come to the Situation Lounge as it relates to relationships between mother and son, brothers and sisters, as it relates to what do we do next? Because there are many women, myself included, who at one point dealt with anxiety and fears. Every time that I saw my husband go out to exercise, and this was before what took place. This even started around the Trayvon Martin time. I would get very upset at my husband for wearing a hoodie anytime he worked out in the mornings. I mean, now he realizes it. I didn't tell him before, but it was a secret fear of mine. And come to realize there are other women who felt the same way. So the first scene we're getting ready to do here at the Situation Lounge, it is actually titled You're Over Exaggerating. We have our team members, Anthony and Ebbs, is going to act out this scene. So take a look and stay tuned to find out what our experts would say about how to handle a situation like this.
Hey, what's up, sis? You called me?
Hey, bro, what's going on?
Oh no, I'm chilling. I'm getting ready to go for a run real quick. It's a little cold this morning, so I had to grab a jacket.
A run? What do you mean?
It's I like to get out and run before
Like that?
the
With a
day
hoodie?
starts. Yeah, it's
A
kind of
black
cold.
hoodie?
Yeah, black's my favorite color.
Do you not see
Proud
what's going
Boston.
on?
No.
All
Oh,
these
my
cases of
my
African
mask.
Americans,
You're right. I forgot my mask. You're right. I'm sorry.
they're
Yeah, I'm
mad.
gonna be good.
Besides the fact, do you see what's going on out there? African American men are getting hurt just from skipping, hopping, running down the street, through the city. in the dark. And you know how early, okay, out of all days, out of all eras, you choose to do this now.
Yeah, I mean,
You don't see anything wrong with it. Just
oh,
because you're light skinned doesn't mean you're 100% privileged. You're this, you're not this.
did I miss something? I don't know. I haven't watched the news this past weekend. You know how I feel about the news.
All right. I guess I have to get my hashtags ready. Hashtag justice for Anthony. Hashtag pray for Anthony's family. Hashtag RIP Anthony. Or you want to be a moral painter. You want to be on Wynwood's walls. Hashtag rest in peace Anthony. Hashtag NAACP. Another one.
For running? I'm confused.
Yeah,
It's like, what happened?
It's not just running. You're Black. Do you not understand what that means?
Yeah, but what is this in
You know what?
regards?
I don't understand. You're just, oh, I'm so carefree. I just do whatever I please and get away with it. No. Enough is going on in our family right now, and you're just adding on to the pressure. Why do you need to be outside anyway? Do you see what's going on with COVID? Do you want coronavirus too? I mean, I don't understand. You don't think.
That's why I'm running early before anyone else is out on the street.
Okay.
To avoid the corona crowd.
You don't understand, do you? You don't understand, do you?
No, I really don't. What happened? What, like,
Can you at least just wear a shirt? I just don't want you hurt out there in the streets. I mean, I don't understand. I already lost a friend. It just blows my mind. You don't think before you do. You just get up and go.
Woo! All right, scene. Whoa. That hashtag, let me prepare the hashtags. Okay. All right. So for those of you who are tuned in for the first time, the Situation Lounge is all about where improv and coaching connect. The team that you just saw right now in the last scene are actually acting out a scene as it relates to our subject matter, Afraid of the Dark. It's a heavy topic tonight, so please keep that in mind. We want to be able to welcome our experts this evening to help kind of dissect this conversation that took place between a brother and a sister. Please welcome Kingsley Grant to the conversation. Kingsley Grant, welcome. All right, so Kingsley Grant is actually the author of a book called The Emotelligent Leader, and he touches on an array of subject matters, especially to help us to maintain our emotions as well as to make sure we succeed where others fail. Kingsley, how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. It's really great actually to be here and just to listen to the conversation, listen to the skit just now, and just see how much of the realities that we are experiencing in our lives, and then to discuss that. So I'm doing fantastic, though.
Thanks
for asking.
Thank you. And now we're going to welcome our other expert. This is Andre Harrison. He wrote a book called From a Fatherless Father to His Sons. Welcome, Andre. Thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right, gentlemen. Well, you heard and you watched for yourself the last skit that is titled You're Over-Exaggerating. We have some questions today, but what are your thoughts so far, Kingsley, based on what you saw Ebony's character do? Do you think she was overreacting?
Yeah, I think on the surface, right away, you could see an overreaction, right? Knee-jerk reaction to situations that happen. And that tend to be the position of many people, right? We act out of our emotions. We allow our emotions to kind of rule how we look at things. So yes, I would say right away on the surface, and I emphasize on the surface, it is an overreaction on her part about him going jogging.
Wow. And as far as your take on this, Andre, with Anthony's character, you have sons. Have you experienced something similar to this? Have you ever gotten mad at your children for wearing hoodies after the incident with Trayvon Martin?
I would say not really. I do have concerns, and like any responsible, loving parent would, and try your best to protect as much as possible. But what I find, I'm a person that I try to be very optimistic. And if you are living your life or parenting from a fear-based position or even doing life from a fear-based position, everything you're going to get from that is going to be fear related, fear, it's going to have some elements of that in it. And really doing life that way is never, ever a good way to do life, because it's going to run into, at some point, a collision point where you are going to take things down a level that it actually may not have even meant to be, right? So a small thing becomes this huge thing because it's all fear driven. So yeah, I do think it's a level of responsibility, but I think that, we can't live our lives that way, because life is with risk, right? And it's never healthy to live our lives that way.
Wow, thank you for sharing that, Kingsley Grant. And how about you, Andre? What are your thoughts on the subject matter? I read a post recently that you wrote that really brought me to tears, because you mentioned that you're in an area in Staten Island where you used to jog, and you stopped jogging in that area because, someone were saying racial slurs. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I was I lived in a predominantly white neighborhood in Staten Island for a little while, and I would jog around the community for get my cardio, get my workout on. And as I was jogging, two white men in a pickup truck, young white men, shouted the N-word at me and spat in my direction. And this didn't happen 50 years ago. I'm but 40 years old. This happened like 5 years ago. So, and this is in Staten Island, in the north, in New York City, one of the 5 boroughs. Yeah. So I think that what we have to be, cognizant of is that people still think that way. Mm-hmm. And we have to be careful. And it's sad that we are the only race, we are the only demographic that have to be conscious about what we wear when we go outside. And why is that? Why is it that our cultural garb is deemed as a threat to others outside? So Ebony, you had an emotional outbreak because you have an emotional attachment to your brother. So it's one of those things where you want to be able to protect, and the only way you can protect is to show them how you're feeling at the specific moment, where your brother's like, I'm just going jogging. And he may not understand. And in his mind, he's like, well, I don't think that no one has the right to tell me I can't jog in what I want to wear. And he's right. And he's absolutely right. No one should have to tell, no one should make him feel bad for wanting to wear a black hoodie and a black hat and a black mask, being black in whatever neighborhood he wants to jog in. But it seems like, unfortunately, that's not the reality today. And it's a sad thing. It really is a sad thing.
Wow. Ebony and Anthony, is there anything you wanted to ask the experts before we move on to the next topic?
Way to, respond to a sibling when they're defiant or can't understand, what's going on or why their actions may not be or their decision of going out early in the morning when it may still be dark, or late at night. What's the best way to handle that when we care so much for them? We don't want to see them we don't want to see them get hurt. Like, what's the best way to really convey, hey, I care about you. I don't want you out there. I don't want you to be the next victim.
If I may jump in here, I would say that that's a very legitimate and valid concern that is felt in family and relationships. So obviously your care comes through. However, I think sometimes in our caring, we want to tell people how to do things or live their lives, and we take away that sense of independence and their ability to make decisions. So maybe the idea would be, okay, Anthony, I'm very concerned. I would hate something to happen to you. And, I'm not sure what I would do. However, I know that you are a person that is very cognizant of your surroundings. And I know that you're doing the best you can to protect. And I trust the fact that you're going to make good decisions. I trust that fact. So I think what happened, people are they're more apt to respond to that rather than feel like you're trying to take away from them something that they want to do and they might find pleasure in, and they might not even know really truly your intent, right? They may hear on the surface, but they're not sure your intent. So I guess also it depends on the relationship and the nature of that, because I mean, if it wasn't a great relationship, then it could be questioned, what's your motive in that ask. So I would say, yeah, it's to share about what it is you're feeling, and from your position, you're concerned, and just trust that person to say, I believe that you will make the best decision, and you are very much aware, and I want to applaud you for your maturity and all that kind of stuff. You may not use those words, but that's it, the message you're sending to that person.
And Anthony, do you have a question for Andre before we continue?
Yeah. So in terms of my character, I feel like, so for the character, it's, you do have that demographic, especially with the African American community, where it's like you hear so much of these new news reports, right, and hashtags and these things that are happening, and these senseless killings of Black men in particular. So for my character, I kind of took it from the point of like being almost like blissfully unaware, right, where it's like I'm just gonna kind of tune out the news. I'm gonna tune out, I should and shouldn't, or feel like I shouldn't do this. Do you feel like that is a wise way for someone to approach just their everyday lives when almost any and everything seems to be a cause to be murdered? Is it better to just kind of like check out completely?
No, and the only reason why is because the reason why we're still in this situation today is because there are still a lot of white people who take that same approach. It doesn't really affect me, so it has nothing to do with me. So I'm just going to pretend like it doesn't faze me. Communities band together communities should band together when things like this happen. Not at no point in life should we walk around ignorant about what's happening in our communities. That's like me walking into the roughest neighborhood in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, wearing a diamond crusted pendant with brand new J's, and like I can't be ignorant to know that there's a possibility that if I go out there looking flashy and nobody knows me, I'm putting myself in danger. So walking around pretending like, everything is all good isn't the safest place to be in. We have to be wise, and cunning, when it comes to certain things like that, So walking around like, it can never happen to me, will cause it to actually happen to you.
Whoa, that's heavy. And
I said that I picked Bed-Stuy on purpose because I was going to go, if I walk into a neighborhood known for KKK, but right now it's just too easy. I had to make sure that we put it in a different context so that people know you got to be wise no matter where you go.
That's true. I'm glad you shared that. And for those of you who are tuned in for the first time, I want to say thank you for joining us here at the Situation Lounge. Tonight's topic is on a heavier note. And we want to let you know the main purpose of this show is not to cause separation or segregation, but it's to have a healthy conversation to help those who are Black or brown, who are dealing with these challenges, to know that there's a support system here for you. We have experts like Kingsley Grant and Andre Harrison and others that'll be joining us later on today, who have outlets available for you to know that you are loved, you are cared for. We appreciate you, we applaud you, and we celebrate you. And we do not want you to give up on your dreams in the process. All right, now we're getting ready to take a quick commercial break. During this time, make sure you hit the red subscribe button and share it and let your friends know you're tuned into the Situation Lounge. All right, welcome again for those who are tuned in. My name is Unique Jackson, and you're watching the Situation Lounge where improv and coaching connect. All right, so our next scene is with two friends, and they are covering an interesting topic today as it relates to friendship and what's taking place in this new era. So let us know if you've experienced something similar, mirrored in some of the scenes that you've watched so far, or that you've seen, or that you're getting ready to see. Post a comment in the section below. And for those of you who are tuned in on the YouTube page or Facebook, thank you for joining us. Post a question. We want to hear from you and what your thoughts are based on what the experts share so far. All right, so please welcome Anthony and Jamal in the next scene. Stay tuned.
What's been going on with you, man?
I've been all right, man. Just been in the house lately, honestly.
You've been, I don't know, you seem a little different lately, man. Everything all right?
Not really. You know, I had a conversation with my sister not even 2 days ago. I guess I was just not really aware of what had been going on, you know. Checking the news, you know, another brother being senselessly murdered, you know, just going out for a run like I usually do. And
Yeah.
I'm at a loss for words. You know, I'm like, you can't run, you can't call for help, you can't sleep in your own house. It's like, it almost feels like I'm asking to get shot if I step outside my door. You know, so I haven't felt motivated to go outside and do anything.
I feel you now, but you can't live in the fear, because then the opposite effect of that is you're gonna go out and probably do something reactive to that.
I mean, maybe that needs to be the case. You know, like how many more times are we going to protest? How many more times do we have to call in to the police department for them to do their job? How many more times we got to do this? Like how many more times, God forbid, that I have to protest because you got shot unnecessarily, or I got shot unnecessarily, or one of our loved ones? Like maybe we do need to react.
How?
I don't know. I mean, clearly yelling and making signs isn't working. Maybe we need to retaliate. Maybe for every one of us,
Yeah.
maybe for every one of us that they get, we get 2 or 3 to prove a point.
But what are you gonna end up proving? Oh, if every time they shoot one of us, we shoot one of them, all you're doing is perpetuating the same violence. Like I'm not saying what's happening.
Nonviolent help.
I'm not saying that we shouldn't do anything, but I want you to really stop and think about the alternative. We go out there, guns raised, we start just randomly picking people, bashing them. That makes us no better than them. Now we've gone from being the stereotypical angry Black person to stereotypical angry, violent Black people who are killing everybody indiscriminately. That makes us no better than them.
Well, maybe I'd rather be the angry Black person that's alive. If they're gonna put up the worst shot that they can of me in the media, maybe I might as well be put in the media for something that matters, or something that feels like it matters. I feel like people are losing our lives worthlessly, senselessly. For what?
Wow. Scene. Whew. I knew this was gonna be heavy, but like all I'm thinking of is like my son and my husband and my other family members right now. And you know, it's intense. So Kingsley and Andre, want to invite you back to the conversation as it relates to this particular situation. Here it is, we have 2 opposing views. We have Jamal's character who, and for those of you, let me clarify, who are tuned in for the first time, the Situation Lounge is about where improv and coaching connect. So our actors are acting out scenes based on actual scenarios submitted to us as a team, or maybe we have overheard or experienced ourselves. So just keep that in mind as far as a disclaimer. But Kingsley Grant, I want to invite you in as far as what are your takes on Anthony's character, because you wrote a book referring to the emotelligent leader, and Anthony is starting to go to the extreme. What is your take on that?
Yeah, I think that you know, it's very evident that he's coming from a very reactive place where, you know, I always said this, that reaction is never a good thing. For example, if you were called by your doctor and he or she said to you, Unique, how is that medication I prescribed to you? And you said to her or him, I'm reacting to that. Immediately, he or she would say, well, we need to change that medication. It's not good. What they're looking for is to hear, oh, I'm responding to the medication. That's a good thing. So reaction or being reactive is never going to be a way to get to a healthy outcome. And that's why the idea of emotional intelligence and being an intelligent leader or a person is simply saying, what emotion am I having? Why is that emotion there? Because emotion is not a bad thing. Emotion is only there to inform us of something. That's what it does. It informs us of something. And it's our job, if we are in tune and are aware, is to find out what is it informing me of, and then be able to take appropriate action to get a better result. Because as Anthony was saying, and Jamal was rightly saying, that reactiveness will not get him what he really wants. It may grant him or give him an immediate gratification, but how does that change things long term? So it all depends on what your outcome is. So yeah, I think that the reactiveness is never, never, never a good thing.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. Now, Andre,
Mhm.
for someone like yourself, you've been involved as far as a mentor to so many young men, a teacher, and I kind of think you would take the same mindset as Jamal's character. Sometimes it's discouraging when someone you're mentoring is always giving you that pushback. They always have a response. How would you handle a situation like that for someone who's watching, who's in that position like Jamal, that's like, hey, that's not the route to go, but the other is having that opposed view? What are some encouraging words would you give someone like Jamal's character?
Well, I would continue to tell Jamal that to hold his stance, but also at the same time let Anthony know that his feelings are valid and warranted. And if he's looking for a specific outcome, try to get him to think about what will it take to get to that specific outcome. And I think he was going there. He was saying, well, if you take up arms and they take up arms and you kill one and we kill one, like how's that going to solve anything? But in his immediate reaction or response, thank you, Kingsley, for that. He's not really thinking straight. So I think at the same time, Jamal could probably say, let me just pause on this conversation for a little bit, and then let whatever emotion he has, let him vent it out completely, and then let's go back to it and discuss it and see if maybe then he can come up with better ways to respond to how he's feeling, and maybe come up with real steps that could probably fix it.
Thank you. Now we have a question posed in the YouTube chat from someone who's watching the show, and their question is, how do we cope, or how do you cope with the emotions behind the situation? Because it's intense right now. And I had a conversation with, I believe it was Jamal off camera, and I guess he heard someone say, which approach, I guess there's some people talking about a type of approach now. Are we going the Malcolm X route or the King, Martin Luther King route, but how do you cope with it? What are your thoughts on that, Kingsley?
There's something that's called group think, and group think is simply saying that as a group of people, everyone is thinking the same way, or they're mirroring another person around them. And so what happened then, you as a person no longer think for yourself. You're being driven by the emotions of everybody else. And if I ask a question and I was to ask you, are you a person that will say you are guided by other people's emotions and you are driven by their emotions? Most people will say, no, I'm my own man. I'm my own woman. I'm not gonna, right? But yet when it comes to these things, there's a groupthink mentality that is existing where a whole, like a herd being pushed together. I can't be individually step out and say, no, what is my own thoughts and my own feelings on these things? And then what happened if you ever echo those, you're kind of pushed down or pointed out and be called Uncle Tom, whatever the question might be, because you're different. Well, I think that people have to be able, even in the heat of the moment, step a step back and say, well, what is your thoughts and your feeling, your true feelings? What are you feeling? Okay, I'm angry. All right. So what are you angry about? And sometimes in groupthink, some people are angry and are part of a mob mentality and have no idea why they're even there. So it can be very dangerous. So when the question that the person asks is about the core, it's possibly this whole atmosphere being driven by a group. And sometimes it's someone setting the agenda of deciding how things should go, and everyone just pick up on that and run with it, because our brain mirrors other people's emotions around us very quickly. We've got to be very careful of that.
Thank you. All right, so before we move on, Jamal or Anthony, do you have a question for Andre?
I mean, the question I had in mind, at least in terms of character, was, I think, addressed with the YouTube question. I think a lot of times, just in conversation that I've overheard or read, I think people they're just angry. They're very upset, and they want a way to channel that anger in a way that allows them to release it, even if it's not constructive. And I think even to Kingsley's point of the group thing, it's like you want people to get mad together, so it's like it's once you realize, like, okay, I'm mad and the way I'm looking at things isn't the way to approach it. It's like, is there something for, let's say, a character like me, I guess, in terms of a question that, okay, I'm angry and I know I'm angry and I don't know what to do because I've realized what I'm thinking to do is not constructive. What then?
It's like assessment. So I'm going to go, it's going to sound like I'm going off a little bit. I had a chance to watch The Bodyguard a little bit today with Whitney Houston and Kevin Costner. And in the movie, he talked about how he does not allow space for his emotions to get too heightened because he needs to be able to read things properly, right? How things actually get done by taking a step back, assessing the situation, and then responding to what needs to be responded to, right? As a teacher, right? When my students don't do well, I don't get angry at them. I assess where their strengths are, where their weaknesses are, and then try to work toward that. I don't get frustrated with them if they get the wrong answer or if they, because then they'll never learn anything. They'll never, or even when they get upset, I try to encourage them to stop for a second, assess what's happening, and then let's see how we can move forward. When you're when you're in that mob mentality, you're not concerned about assessing. You're concerned about breaking things. Like for instance, the city of Philadelphia 2 years ago, when they beat the Patriots, tore this city up. Last year, Toronto was left in chaos because people mobbed together and they were happy. They didn't think straight and they were happy. So you got to be able to stop, assess, move away from that mob mentality. But then again, that takes emotional intelligence and it takes maturity to do that. And if you really want to see things happen, you have to assess and then move, not, get groups together and say, hey, we're mad together. Let's go out there with our pitchforks and fires and burn everything down.
Whoa. Well, thank you for that, gentlemen. Now, you shared about the mob mentality, which is dangerous. Having a group of people doing positive and great things is a powerful feeling. But when it's negative, it takes a whole nother turn. So I appreciate both of you sharing and giving us valuable insight on how to handle, especially the mob approach or just doing a self-assessment. This next clip was submitted to me over the weekend while actually preparing for this show. Take a look at this young man's vulnerable moment as he shared on social media. And for those of you who are watching, once again, thank you for tuning into the Situation Lounge. If you have a question, feel free to send us a message or post your comment below.
I was just praying, bro. And in prayer, dog, I'm just like, God, why do people hate us so much, dog? Like, why, bro? It make me mad, make me sad. I don't even know what to do. I couldn't even I couldn't even finish my prayer, dog. I couldn't even finish my prayer. Like, I don't even know what to say.
Whew. For those who are in a moment like Brandon was, where now you're alone with your thoughts, and if you're a person who maybe have a moment where you take time out of your day just to reflect, when you're alone with your thoughts, and that's the other part to Afraid of the Dark, is not only a subject matter about being afraid of the color of our skin, but for the brown and black men who are alone in their thoughts, how they're processing this. So tonight I want to welcome Brandon Salinas to the discussion. And I would also like to invite Ebony Ebbs to the conversation as well. Thank you so much for joining us today, Brandon. And thank you again, Ebony. Ebony, I know actually Brandon is a friend of yours, and you sent that video to me. I just want to be able to just allow you to share with us how you felt when you're watching that. Okay. All right. Now, Andre and Kingsley, I want to bring you into the conversation. Oh, 1 second. We have Ebony with us. Ebony, when you shared that, tell me what was going through your mind at the time when you were watching that video of a young man that you know personally. I mean, it wasn't a stranger that you're seeing information going viral, but someone you actually know.
Right. It was just very, it was an emotional moment for me because I've never seen him, in that space. And I just wanted to learn more and just, try to comfort him anyway and reach out to him to really get to the core of why he was feeling that way and what made him post that and be vulnerable and just vent in that way.
Wow. Brandon, I want to welcome you to the Situation Lounge. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And I want to thank you again, not only just for joining, but just the mere fact that you were open to be a part of this conversation, Afraid of the Dark. I know Ebony has some questions for you. Go ahead, Ebony.
Yeah, so Brandon, I just want to thank you for being a part of this show. I know it took a lot for you to use this avenue just to convey how you feel. And I wanted to really dig deep into, why you chose to post that video on your social media. So I would like to know what was your headspace at the time, why you was venting. I mean, like you mentioned in the video, like you couldn't even finish your prayer. I just felt that emotional pain. Like, what were you thinking at that time when you posted that video?
So honestly, it was, I really, I really wish I was like joking, but it was hard to even watch that video play back even just now. I'm not used to seeing myself cry. I cried. I cry kind of often. I don't say often. I'm very in tune with my emotions. So if I need to cry, I cry. But I'm not used to like watching myself cry. I don't know anybody who does. It's kind of funny, but I was really like in prayer, and I just literally hit a roadblock, and that is extremely weird for me, because I'm not always praying, but I constantly pray throughout the day, at night as well. And so it literally, I just couldn't get what happened off my mind enough to where I literally was asking God these same questions, like, you know, why do people treat us like this here? You know, why do they hate us so much? And
Right.
So yeah, it was a true moment of just honest transparency. I ended up praying after I posted or finished recording the video rather. And I was able to pray, but I really think I just needed to get it off my chest, and I didn't want to talk to anybody. It's just something I needed to get out. So yeah.
Right. Like I've always known you to be a very transparent person. That's what I love about you. But you know, with that video, I've never seen you be that vulnerable to the public on so I'm like, man, he must really feel this way. And it just brought me to tears. It was very emotional for me as well. But thank you again for allowing us to share that with the
No
viewers
problem.
who are watching right now. And I also wanted to know, like, in your own perspective, like, do you think that is essential to have, you know, a group of people like to vent to? Do you think it's important to have that circle of people who you trust for that emotional support for Black and brown men like yourself? Or do you think that it's more healthy or satisfying to just bottle it in and just deal with it and cope and carry on with the world? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, honestly, I don't think any of us were designed to bottle things in or suppress our emotions, our feelings. I think our emotions and feelings were actually by design supposed to be informants. They're supposed to be an indicator to us about how we feel about anything related to the outside world, and how it's affecting us. A lot of times we allow them to not be indicators, but rather dictators. And that's where they become a problem, because we allow our emotions to then tell us what to do. If I'm mad, I need to break something, or like, rage, rather than, okay, why am I feeling this way? What's making me feel this way? What can I do to resolve this? And how can I go about handling in a healthy way? But I do think it's essential, not just for Black and brown people, but for everybody really, to know who's in your corner emotionally, and to be able to vent or to ask for advice or solicit help. I think we were designed to be social beings. And so for me, particularly in that moment, I know I have a good amount of people that I can talk to emotionally, and who's there for me. But and I had people, you know, checking on me after I posted it. And even then, I wasn't answering phone calls. I was texting people, letting them know I was fine. But it was just one of the moments where I really think I just needed to vent. And sometimes you need to do that as well. Sometimes you need to talk to friends. Sometimes you need to pray. Sometimes you just need to say what's in your heart, even out loud, you know, by yourself, so you don't sound crazy. But, you know, you just got to get it out. Otherwise, it festers, it builds, and it creates rage, hate. I mean, the list goes on.
Right. Black and brown men, they often see this way of venting as a weakness, and it's not a weakness. It's very healthy, in my opinion, at least, to express how you feel. Either it is to a friend, to a family member, to a therapist, a psychologist, whatever. I mean, you have to get it out. Bottling it in really is just not healthy for you internally. And then you exert that in kind of deviant ways when you don't release that tension, that pressure off of your chest. So I want to thank you again for allowing us to share your video and being a part of tonight. It's very special. So how do we get more in contact? No problem. How do we get connected with you on social media, or you know?
Before I say that, can I just interject something really quick?
Oh, sure. No.
I would encourage anybody, especially Black and brown people, men, women, to especially men, cry. Like, it's okay to cry. Actually, we probably need it more than we think we do. Those tears that I cried in that video did a lot for me. I was able to then go pray, after crying. I think we are groomed as Black men to be, as Black people, but specifically in this situation, I'm talking about me as a man. I think we're groomed to be ones who do bottle stuff in, who don't talk about emotions, who don't have emotions, who don't fear, and none of that, first of all, is true. We all fear something, I think, and we're all challenged by things. And so it's okay to express weakness. It's okay to express our flaws. We have them, let's not, act like we're Superman. We're not. But if anybody wants to, contact me or wants to find me on social media, I'm on Facebook, Brandon Salinas. My name is right there. You'd see me in a little African.
What's your IG handle?
And my Instagram and Twitter is IB_FYE.
Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
And I'm sure a lot of Black and brown men can really resonate with what you displayed in the video and here on the show.
I hope so.
All right. Well, thank you, Brandon and Ebony, for sharing with us the rawness as it relates to what we go through emotionally. And thank you for sharing that, Brandon, as it relates to it's okay. It's okay to cry. That doesn't take away from being a strong Black man. It's important for us to release those emotions. Now, we went from going as far as the topic of mob mindset to an individual moment when we're alone. I want to be able to invite Michael Barrow to the conversation. He's an All-American linebacker. He played for the University of Miami. He also served 3 years as a coach for the Seattle Seahawks. And we want to be able to invite him into the conversation. Michael, thank you so much for joining us tonight. All right, Michael. Now, many share as it relates to just that mental toughness, the mental strength that's needed in sports. And we can glean from that as it relates to the competitive side of things. But can you share with us as it relates to what it took to cultivate that mental strength that you've acquired over the years? What are some strategies or what are some steps that you took to develop that?
I'm sorry. Hey, how you guys doing? My
Great,
computer
how are
was
you?
acting up. Can you repeat that question? I apologize.
Oh, it's okay. Well, once again, thank you for joining us this evening.
My pleasure.
So being that you were a linebacker and you played football for the University of Miami for many years, and you served as a coach for 3 years for the Seattle Seahawks, going through that journey as a child playing football all the way up to now coaching, to me, it must have taken a sense of mental toughness and strength to not only build your muscles physically, but mentally, emotionally. What are some steps that you took to cultivate that over the years?
Well, that's a good question. I think what happens is that it's just the journey through life where you go through different adversities and challenge. Even before growing up in Homestead, Florida, we used to play football and neighborhood football and things like that. And that could be rough than playing in the NFL sometimes just because of the trash talking. And we used to play tackle in the grass and touching the road. And then it becomes somebody get mad and you start tackling everywhere. And so with being in the state of Florida, which is arguably one of the top, grounds for talent, you just get that mindset over time. And is not only do you develop that from your coaches going through training camp and the training to prepare for as an athlete, but also you get it on the streets in the community, just the mental toughness that you help develop you so you can be your best. it's funny. I remember watching my nephew play. He was playing Pop Warner, and he's 10 years old. And I was down there in the inner city of Miami, and one of the guys, the quarterback, he got sacked, and I'm like, man, they blitzed him, got sacked, and I'm thinking like, okay, if that's my son, he was hurt, he got up slow, he was grabbing his elbow, and his dad said, come here, and then he was like, you all right, man? That's your fault. I was like, what? He's like, that's your fault. You got hit, and he said, man, give me 5 push-ups. Tighten up, stop crying. And I was like, oh my God, right? Like, he said, you okay? You should have saw it coming. You the quarterback, you got to see those things. But just the mindset, right? Because if I was in that situation, especially my wife, I'm like, what's wrong? You okay? My baby, da da da. But just that taught me, like, wow, it's like the movie 300, like the weeding out process for sports. And especially, I mean, I'm a stereotype, but in the inner city, just that mindset that you got to have, that demeanor. And then so it taught me, like, man, I see why, some of the best players come out of the South Florida. I see why, just because when they're exposed to this, man, it's no time to baby you. It's no time, like the movie League of Their Own. It's no crying in baseball. It's just like you got to suck it up and go. So I think it's different levels that prepare you for that mental toughness and just the stuff you go through life. I mean, my mom, she was a nurse's aide and she worked 2 jobs, and the day off for her was not going to the second job. And I saw her, tired or sick, but she didn't call in for work because she knows she had to help raise kids. And so she'll put that wig on, put that nurse's aide outfit on, and she going to work, And so those things that I saw and that exposed me to the toughness that I needed. And so it just helped me overall. So it's no secret formula. It's just not, if you're in the military, you got the boot camp where, you see soldiers get transformed as they go through boot camp and get yelled. But I mean, just in the environment that I grew up in, man, it just had a boot camp for life that all played a part in the recipe for me or most athletes in my situation to have the mental toughness they need to succeed in life.
Wow, thank you. Now, do you find that you had to work harder because of your complexion?
Yes. It's funny. And actually I got it from both sides. And hear me out when I say both sides. And this is what I mean. So my mom, she told me, because the type of environment I grew up in Homestead, Florida City, small town, South, look, country town per se. And so it was a lot of racism down there. We actually had a neighboring town called the Red, and Redlands was known for rednecks, and so you always
Wow. So I love the way he shared that example.
leery of that. Her family, when he was older, I'm sorry.
Oh, if you could say that again, as far as the area that you're in, you broke up a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said the area I grew up in is Homestead / Florida City, Florida, and so that area is a predominantly poor area, and it's a lot of racism that went on when I was growing up down there. The people exposed to a lot. I was saying we had a neighboring town called the Redlands, and the Redlands was full of rednecks, and so you had to always be leery of that. So when I say I got it from 2 sides, because my mom told me, hey, look, you got to do more than the white man. You got to work your butt off, because she's growing up, they didn't have anything, and she saw the disparity in the glass ceiling that took place. So she said, you got to leave no doubt. And so that gave me the work ethic that, I had to work harder than the dude next to me, And so that, and Brittany, like I said earlier, I saw her set a great example of how to work. And then additionally, within the Black community, is some racism that took place as well, from if you're light skinned or dark skinned, right? It's some discrimination. And at the time, I was what they call Florida Light or Florida Red, right? My brother,
Yeah.
my older brothers and sisters was dark skinned. So some racists like, man, you old yellow boy, you red boy, you Peter Bed and da 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 da, you soft and whatnot. And so most red dudes was looked at as being pretty boys. So then you had to prove yourself in that regards as well, you know? So that's why I say I got it from both sides, you know?
Mhm. Wow. Now we have a comment in the YouTube channel. They asked the question, would you say the key to your ability to, as far as just that mental toughness, balancing, like you said, those both sides, do you think the key is resilience?
Oh yes, I mean it's resilience. It's an unshakable belief in yourself. It's a term that when I was coaching at Seattle Seahawks, this lady wrote a book about grit,
Mhm.
and it's that grittiness. She determined and that the number one indicator if a person going to be successful or not, regardless of their professional field, it could be a musician, an entertainment, an athlete, military. It was grit. It was that mental fortitude to persevere, to overcome adversity. And one thing that happened, so when we look to draft guys, you know, we would have them do a grit assessment to see how gritty they were, you know. So
Mhm.
that was something that we stumbled across, and it's so important. It's not based on how smart you are, how talented you are, you know. It's based on a lot of times, man, how can you overcome a negative situation? It's no different, right? In being
Oh, okay, Brandon. Michael, are you able to hear me? All right. So you mentioned
married,
it's no
right?
different
The number one
than.
indicator for relationship is going.
Mhm. All right. Well, wow. Thank you
Can
so
you hear
much.
me?
Okay, I can hear you
Can
much
you hear
better
me?
now. Yes. So you
Oh,
said the
I'm sorry.
number one
Yeah,
indicator in
I don't know what's
life.
going on. Yeah, I'm sorry. So the number one indicator, based on the research, we met this lady when I was Seattle Seahawks, and Dr. Angela Duckworth, and she came up with the indicator. Number one indicator if somebody's going to be successful, and
Mhm.
regardless of what professional industry they choose, is grit. It's how well the mental toughness, the resilient to continue to persevere. It's not how talented you are, how smart you are, how much money you have in your pocket. It's how gritty you are. And
Mhm.
most people who are gritty had to overcome something at a young age.
Mhm.
And I was saying it's no different being married, right? It's the number one indicator if a relationship is going to be successful or not or make it or not. It's not based on how much you love each other. It's how well you deal with setbacks, how well you deal with fights in your marriage and disagreement, how well you fight. And so in life, it's the same way. How well do you fight for your dreams? You know, what's
Mhm.
your why? What's going to motivate you? Because a lot of people, they sit here and talk the talk, but they're not walking the walk. As soon as they hit with adversity, they lay down their cards. They don't have that grit to continue to persevere, excuse me. And like this generation, when I was coaching at University of Miami and I recruit a kid, you know, I noticed the mindset of the kids has changed so much. I call it the reset generation. And what I mean by
Wow.
that, when they play Atari or not Atari, excuse me, it's not Atari anymore, Xbox and PlayStation, right? Well, when they start losing, right, what they do, they hit the reset button. They
Mm.
start over. They fold their cards in. They don't know how to deal with adversity, right? They don't have that mental toughness, right? And so they're being handicapped in life, you know. And so we got to
Wow.
watch it, you know. I mean, you know, the thing that I hate the most, I love the most, and what I mean by that, the struggles and stuff that I had to endure as a child, and all that. But from those lessons, it's
Mhm.
taught me or helped me develop the tools I need to be successful.
Wow. Well, thank you. And I feel like what you shared kind of ties into what we're talking about today, afraid of the dark, which is the topic of today's show. And we have to shift our mindset, especially for those who are watching today, are strong, courageous brown and black men, or if you know someone who is, it's about affirmation, but it's also about not stepping back because of what's happening in the media, but being resilient, having grit. And I want to thank you so much, Michael, for sharing that today. Hopefully, we can get you on again in the future, we want to be able to invite our experts on and our team members on as well. We have a video we're playing, but Michael, before we transition into the next segment, how can we stay connected with you?
I'm on Facebook. I'm rarely on social media. So lately with this whole pandemic going on, I've been on Facebook a little bit more. So I don't even know the title of my thing. I think it's under my name. So that'll be easy to find. But that's it,
Okay, well, when we air the recap, if you have any upcoming events, we'll make sure to connect with you so you'll share it with us. So for those who want to continue to follow, or maybe because I know you're also a speaker, and if you want for Michael to come out to maybe speak to your youth or keep them motivated and have that sense of resilience and grit, as what Michael was sharing earlier, we'll make sure to have that in the recap video below. All right, Michael, once again, thank you for joining us today. Have a great night. All right, well, stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. We have a special video coming up.
I love my Black man, my Black father, my Black brothers, but most of all, my Black man. You are loved, you are appreciated, and you are cherished. You are strong, you are wise, and you're courageous. And while they're trying to figure out if they want to embrace you, I cringe at the thought that I'd ever have to replace you. So while all lives matter, yeah, that's true. But because you're Black while living, and Black while driving, and Black while jogging, Black lives matter too. We respect you, we love you, we appreciate you. I love my Black men.
Into the Situation Lounge, where improv and coaching connect. I want to thank those of you who are tuned in. Make sure to hit that red subscribe button and share with your friends. Let them know you're watching the Situation Lounge. I want to invite our experts back to the table before we welcome our team, Andre Harrison and Kingsley Grant.
How's it going?
Hey, all right. Well, in wrapping it up, I wanted to just hear from you, your closing remarks as it relates to what took place. And after that, I'll share some exciting news and some projects we're working on together. Andre, what are your thoughts on the show today? And what would you, as far as your one piece of advice for those who are tuned in?
I'll give two pieces of advice, if you don't mind. One to my brown and Black brothers and sisters, not to lose heart or become dismayed through this whole thing. I know it's a repetitive narrative that we keep hearing, and frankly, we're all sick of it. And I just want to encourage, don't be sick of it, but make sure that we move in a way that's actually going to produce results without making us look like we're mobbing for something. Because the truth of the matter is, when we gather together for anything, even if it's a protest, it's not looked at as a good thing. And I read a quote today that, and this may not necessarily be the views of those hosting this. Okay, let me just say that now. But it said that racism is something to the fact that racism is as American. Racism is America because those who protest against racism are considered un-American. So it was a pretty deep quote. I don't know if I'm saying it verbatim, but it's a pretty deep quote. And for those who are American and who happen to be white, we're not looking for white empathizers only. We're looking for people who love us, who know us intimately as friends, as family, to speak up against this also, and not say, well, I'm not racist, so I don't like being pulled into and generalized like all other white people. If you are complacent, if you are silent, if you are not going to speak up and say that this action is wrong, whether it happened to Aubrey or anybody else, then you are part of that racist narrative also. If you're not standing up for what's right, is you saying that silently, I'm okay with what's happening to people that don't look like me. So for this to truly change, everybody needs to stand up, gather together, and point out what's wrong and do something about it.
Thank you for that, Andre. And for those who are watching, we're going to post a link to Andre's book called From a Fatherless Father to His Sons. I read that book as well, and it's a beautiful book, a beautiful story. So we'll make sure to include it in the link below and your contact information, Andre. Kingsley Grant, any closing remarks before, as far as, or one piece of advice you'd like to share?
Yeah, I think overall everything was very, the show was very enlightening and brought about some conversation that is much needed. And we need to have this kind of discourse continuously, because I believe the more we talk with each other and to each other, rather than at the other person, the more we can accomplish. And I think the care must be taken when we're having this conversation is not to somehow, think every white person is racist or every Black person is racist. We have racism on both sides. And I think we got to be careful that we just don't point our fingers in one direction. And if we can have that kind of conversation and the understanding, because I have white brothers and sisters who I know are not racist. And so we got to be careful about that. And so I think we can get to a better understanding and try to go at their roots cause. And it's through education, it's through having people see things that they may not see otherwise. Because if all you know, that if everything you have in your hand is a nail and a hammer, then everything you're going to do is with a nail and a hammer. So sometimes people don't have the right set of tools, like emotional intelligence or being intelligent, which is really a set of skills that says, hey, how can I have a better result? We might need to teach that across the board to help people manage their thoughts and their emotions so they can get better results. We've got to ask ourselves the question, if that's our goal, to get better results, how is what we're doing getting us there?
Thank you, Kingsley Grant and Andre Harrison. And for those who are watching, we want to let you know about a great campaign we're launching. It is called, and this is an inspiration for those who are brown and Black men, just want to encourage you, don't stop, keep running. And this is going to be a coaching session as it relates to tackling the emotions we covered tonight as far as the subject matter, Afraid of the Dark. How to go from mob mindset to a group empowerment to change and influence, do positive, create positive solutions as it relates to inviting people from different cultures to the table to have a healthy dialogue to hopefully eradicate racism. I know it may seem far-fetched, but it's possible. And it was going to start with us having that dialogue and a continuous conversation. So we launched the Don't Stop, Keep Running campaign. I invited Kingsley Grant and Andre Harrison to be some of the leading coaches, part of this national campaign. Stay connected with us on TFG 365 TV. We're going to hear more about that. And for those of you who are interested, send us a message and just say that I'm in. All right. I want to invite the rest of our team to the table as we wrap up this evening. I want to invite Anthony, Ryan Grant, Ebbs B, and Jamal. All right, team, we did it. Another successful night of the Situation Lounge.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
All right. And for those of you who are watching, once again, it is where improv and coaching connect. So we have a team of actors who are displaying scenarios or stories that was submitted to us either by our team, our clients, or things that we've read in the news. So don't send any more harassing emails to me telling us, oh my gosh, you're so mean, this or this. We're just acting and portraying characters, but they are so good at what they do, we kind of get lost in the moment. Any closing remarks before we head out, Jamal?
I just want to say definitely not to lose hope, because at the end of the day, violence is only going to create more violence. At some point, we're going to meet at the table of peace. At some point, it'll happen.
I love that. Meet at the table of peace. That's that poetry side coming back out of you. We'll talk more about that later. And Ebbs B, what about you?
We just need men to speak up more about how they're feeling and not bottle it in. I mean, I think that's main thing that I would want other Black and brown men to understand. And women do not see that as weakness. We do not see that as weakness. I want to emphasize on that because you have to. This is healthy. It's perfectly normal. I promise.
Wow. And I love that. That's true, because sometimes men think that, we view it as being vulnerable as a weakness, but we actually see it as a strength. Hint,
Right.
hint, fellas out there. I'm giving you some game right now, better be taking notes. And Anthony, how about you?
I would say, although my character kind of portrayed the opposite, I think as frustrating as it can be when situations like this happen and, another innocent life is lost, I think it's important to realize that even though it seems to be a bit of a dragging of process, progress is happening. Things are happening. Yes, it might have taken a few months for justice or an arrest to be made, but that's a few more months than a year in previous situations. And hopefully next time it'll be weeks. Hopefully next time it'll be hours. So, for those who are feeling a little disheartened by these constant news of these killings, just be encouraged in the fact that things are getting better, if only marginally, and they'll continue to do so as long as we don't lose hope and continue to press forward.
That is beautiful. All right, man. I think we could write a book I really think we need to have a part 2 to this. What do you guys think? Afraid of the Dark part 2?
I'm down for that.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
All right. And I heard, do we have Brandon still on? Brandon. All right. So Brandon's on his way in. And I heard from someone that Brandon is actually an artist. Any upcoming music, Brandon? Are you planning to release anything soon? Spit a bar right now. They're afraid of the dark and the situation now.
Afraid of the dark. Can't even jog in the park when this world coming to, man, and on in the dark. No, but I actually took my artistry talents to book writing.
Oh.
So I am not doing music for the time being.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, I'm writing books. So I may pick music back up at some point. We don't know. But right now, I'm just writing.
All right. Well, there are 2 amazing writers here at the Situation Lounge. So off air, I'll make sure to send an email with their contact information, and hopefully they could give you some tips.
Help me.
Exactly, yes. On this journey. Or who knows, we may end up writing a book.
Hey.
Hint, 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 hint. All right. Well, those of you who are tuned in, once again, thank you so much for staking with us here at the Situation Lounge. Make sure to hit that red subscribe button and share with your friends. Let them know that you're tuned in to the Situation Lounge, where improv and coaching connect. Once again, my name is Unique Jackson, and we want to say thank you for joining us. Have a great night. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.